guys? Did you have a good break? All right, great. All right. Well, we didn't plan this, but all of our trainings seem to be going together. So I guess there is a really good cohesive theme going on. A little bit more to add about my background, and then I'll get moving because we have 15 minutes. So hold on tight. Strap yourself in. I will let you know before I start with this that all of these PowerPoints, all the resources, I have 10 slides of resources for you. All of them are up on the Facebook page already, and the wiki link is there. So please help yourself. I can't possibly tell you everything you need to know about Universal Design for Learning in 15 minutes. It's just not possible, and it wouldn't be practicing what I preach. So everything's there in all different formats, videos and text. A little bit more about my background. Here I support school teams working through the process, sometimes retrofitting the process, so looking at the student and saying what's broken, how do we fix it? What I want to argue today is we need to look at the curriculum first and look at that and say what's broken based on what we know about the brain. So Universal Design for Learning. Quick show of hands, how many people in here have heard that term? Great, how many people use it? All right, it's a great term in validity of being used. It can be a pretty big concept, so sometimes we don't use it. What is it? It is a means to design curriculum from the forefront. You want to design your curriculum from the beginning to target all brains in the room. I'm not talking special ed brains, guys. I'm talking everybody's brain. As we've been learning, everyone thinks differently, learns differently, processes differently. So we want to start from that beginning step and say we're all different. We're all as unique as our fingerprint in how we learn. Okay, our DNA, everything is unique. So we need to look back at that. What it isn't new. It isn't retrofitting. It's not assistive technology. It's not just for the special needs kids in our rooms. It's not one more thing to add to your plate. As we're learning, we're teaching this thing inside of the children. That's what we're trying to get. And that thing interacts with us. And this isn't one more thing, it's just good teaching. And it's another strategy to put in your tool belt. And it's not designed with one student, that one kid that's in there that you're having problems with. It's designed for everybody. What we're finding is we're designing for the margins and missing. Right? Because we all have those unique fingerprints, so we want to look at that. So let's quickly break it down into the 3 words that compose it: universal, design, and learning. What is universal? It's a curriculum that targets everyone. It targets every brain that's interacting. We frequently think about the fact that every kid that comes into us, we think about their cognitive level. What are the cognitive differences? Remember, as we've been talking all day, there's other differences. Social emotional. There's homeless students in our classes. There's all different things. Background. If I've been all around the world, my experience with social studies is going to be a lot different than somebody who's never left Pennsylvania, right? This is all students. Did you know that your curriculum could be disabled? So frequently we retrofit and we say that it's not fitting for our students. There's something wrong with them. It's not them, guys. We need to look at the curriculum first. We've all had that class that we jived with, that we felt good about, and that class that we just walked out of there going, ugh, get me out, right? It was something about that curricula, the goals, the methods, the materials, and the assessment that wasn't working for the way our brains work. Okay, so let's quickly run down this. Would you be disabled if the only method of assessment is through singing? I'd fail that class in a heartbeat, okay? The only materials in your classroom are print. I'm a touchy person, okay? I'd have a problem. The entire class is lecture with no visuals. Right? We've seen all that fMRI data today about how the brain interacts, and we're going to go much more in depth in that. But think about that. What if every question was linked to pop culture? That would be hard. Or Roman culture, right? That's different. What if I took your iPod or your iPad and said, use that paper system? Okay. What if I took your paper system and told you to use your iPod? Okay? You would have a disability. We need to look and stretch our thoughts to look and plan ahead of time. So that's universal. Everybody. Learning. So neuroscience is really telling us, and I don't have to reiterate everything that we said this morning, but neuroscience is telling us that there are 3 distinctive networks in the brain. They're broad networks. My background tends to be with people whose brains have been broken in some way. It's neurogenic speech disorders. So I tended to have the person who had the stroke or the brain injury. And I always laughed with my colleagues because frequently the brain was only something special ed kids had, not something our kids have, right? We don't think about how we're teaching that. We're looking through fMRIs. We don't have to have it broken anymore to see what's wrong with it. We can functionally see, as you saw in that video clip, what's going on. So there's 3 networks. We're going to go quickly through that. There's a link there with wonderful pictures for you. If you look quickly, you see hearing words lights up in one section and seeing words light up in a different section. Okay, same idea that you saw between with the rap video. So in these networks, they interact with each other. We have to target all 3 of these networks in our students. Our curriculum might be only targeting one of these networks. And if we have students who have strengths in one and not in the other, we're limiting them. All right, so here are the 3 networks. Back in our occipital lobe and cerebellum is the what of learning. Okay? Up front, that frontal lobe that we've talked a lot about is the how of learning, that strategy base. So let's talk about the recognition network, the what. Okay? This is our recognizing, taking information, producing it back out type of information. Okay? And that's all back in that visual basis. So that doesn't just have to be visual, though. That's our ability to recall facts. That's our ability to take information and synthesize it and produce it. Okay? The facts. Knowing the structure. Understanding the concepts. Okay? I have a quick activity for you. If you've done this before, don't cheat. Everybody make an okay sign. I'm going to test your recognition network. Okay? Put it on your chin. Put it on your chin. All right, how many people put it on their forehead? You're probably a little stronger recognition-wise with the auditory. Or with the visual, I'm sorry, with the visual. If you put it on your chin right away, you're probably a little more auditory. Okay? Think back to that disability question. If I'm lecturing 100% at you and you're a visual learner, what are you processing from this? What clothes I'm wearing? You can recall what's going around the room, right? But you're not recalling everything. We need to design our curriculum to target all of these networks as we go. All right, just a real quick one. That's an awesome activity to try with your students. That is really cool. Most kids can do it. All right, okay, so that's the recognition network. Again, not here to make you neuroscientists, but to get you aware of these words. Next network, the strategic network. That's the how of learning. Remember that video we just saw before break where the rappers were lighting up the frontal cortex a little bit? Okay. And then they were lighting up the visual and it was going back and forth depending on what task. I was thinking during that, the one part that was lighting up was the strategic network. It was the planning, okay? It was the ability to monitor yourself and to act on it. My strategic network right now in an fMRI would be loaded, right? My recognition network, not so much. But they really do best if they work together. And the reason is this network. We've talked a lot about the limbic system and the affective network today. And that affective network, if you look at how it runs, that's the why of learning. It runs up under your brain, guys. So you got your recognition, you got your strategic, and this guy is the highway, okay? It's the why. What does this mean to me? Okay? And it could be the why in the bad way, and it could be the why in the good way. We always say there's always a why assigned. It's your job to assign it as the teacher, because the child's going to come up with a why. All right, so that's the why, that's the motivation, the emotions. Okay. Long-term memory is primarily housed here. We see this a lot with our individuals with shearing brain injuries. Right? That network gets sheared. We know that that's really housed there. It's because of this network and the way we bottom up and top down processing, which we won't go into, that all of these networks need to be activated at the same time in our curriculum. So how do we do that? Right? What do? First, I want you at home for homework. You didn't know you were going to have homework today. For homework, I want you to analyze your brain difference. And it's up on that site for you. Really, really fascinating. Because as we talk about how we present, when we look at the UDL principles, it's of representation and it's also of expression. We are biased in how we express what we know as teachers to our students. We express in the way that's comfortable for us to express. So if you know your learning network, you'll know what's comfortable for you to look at where your biases may lie. Next one is getting to know you the UDL way. Awesome tool to use with kids. Great questions. Get to know what networks are stronger for your students, and then you can help them pick what tools to use. Are they better with a handbook, or are they better with a digital text? Are they better going hyperlinks, or are they better going with just pieces of paper? All right, so that was universal and design and learning. Now let's get back to design. All right, that's looking at all aspects to design a flexible curriculum to target every single student. We're not looking at the margins, we're not looking at IEPs and GIEPs, we're looking at everybody in your class now. And the idea is to design for every learner variability from the start. And learners vary on subjects, on different days. There are days I may not want to listen to something, but I want my hands on it. And everybody varies, and building a UDL curriculum from the start that has all those choices is really, really powerful. Retrofitting, think of a house, and think of if the individual that lives in that house is now suddenly disabled, walking disabled, cannot walk. How hard is it to adjust the house for ramps and for moving everything around, right? Widening walls. But if every house was designed with that size and that ramp from the beginning, no changes have to be made. It's faster. And this comes from that idea of universal design from architecture. Thumbs up quickly if you've used the following of these in the last week. Closed captioning. Siri. All right, GPS. All right, curb cut. Really, not that many. Okay, elevator. All right, how about button to open the door? Autocomplete on Google or Word. Guys, these were all built originally for individuals with disabilities, but how often do we all use it? It shortens tasks for us. It's easier for us. If we could build this in for every student, it would shorten tasks for them. It would help them, give them options. Get that limbic system moving because they may be more motivated to do the task. Okay, so where do you start? Ask yourself, what is my goal? You have to start with a clear goal when you design your curriculum. What do you want them to know, understand, and do? Then ask yourself, what are the potential barriers? Am I only using textbooks? What if I have that audio kid? Okay. What if I have the student who can't flip the textbook? What if I have a student that can't carry them home? Okay, what are my barriers? This is a wonderful resource. Again, it's up for you. If you know me, I'm a resource queen. I love resources. Learning through listening, which used to be recordings for the blind and disabled, now have a barrier guide. you can go through your lesson and your curriculum and determine what barriers you have built in there. Really easy to do, to plan from the beginning. All right, so how do we do this the UDL way? I'm just speaking slightly different semantics, different words than my colleagues have spoken this morning. But really, we want to look at our curriculum by multiple means of representation, multiple means of action and expression, and multiple means of engagement, and building that in. All right. There's a wonderful site called cast.org, Center for the Applied Special Technology, and they have this wonderful chart on it that's a really nice resource to look back and say, representation, am I using multiple means of representation? Expression, am I using multiple means of expression for my students? And engagement. It's a wonderful way to look at it. Remember that quick neuroscience guide I gave you on the 3 networks? Recognition networks really supported by multiple means of representation, as we saw with the OK sign, right? If I would have given you that in a different way, you may have reacted differently if I showed you a picture of how you should do it. Strategic network and the affective network. Strategic supported by expression. That's our way to plan. So if I can do a presentation versus take a test, I may choose that option. I know I chose my graduate school based on the fact that it was much more interactive and more classwork than tests. Okay, and affective network. We need to teach our students of all levels how to make those choices for themselves, when to make those choices, and how their brains work. And because that's a lifelong learner. All right, I do not have time to go through all this, and I knew myself when I did this, but you have it. There's the multiple means, and reminding yourself that's in the back, or in the front. Sorry, this should be in the back. All right, we're going to go through this quickly because I really want you to have the resources. So those 3 methods again were representation, expression, okay, and engagement. There are some people doing this. Have you guys ever seen HIAT, H-I-A-T? Montgomery County, Maryland, their schools across the district are enforcing UDL across the district with technology. It's one of the reasons why I'm up here as an assistive technology consultant is we can do this with technology. This is what's made it new. We have the access to these things. HIAT has beautiful videos of teachers actually doing it, okay? And I want you to go there. This is an absolute must-see as well. This is all the free tools for digital text, writing, handwriting problems. Free, guys. Absolutely free, so look at that. Here's all the research for you nerds out there like myself that needs the research. Here you go for that. Here's more for the experts. This is a keynote that was just given last week from the Dr. David Rose through Harvard, through the CAS Center. And Dr. Rose set up and had this at the Special Education Programs Directors meeting. Wonderful talks about Bach and Lady Gaga and how to engage our students. Fabulous, 30 minutes, really great. All right, and then free book. I want you to see Teaching Every Student in the Digital Age. All right, and then of course, there's where you can find more information on assistive technology through me. And anyone going to PDE, I only have a minute, I'm seeing. Anyone going to PDE, there's a person called Karen, and I'm going to butcher her last name, so I won't even try. She is presenting a PDE strategy for success, or I didn't know I could do that for free. She is the amazing owner of that wiki, okay? So if you're there, please stop by and see it. All right, thank you for your time.